Howdy folks, Casey LaCourse coming to you from Las Vegas, Nevada with another showcase of Hearts of the West. It's cowboy poetry and Western music and a whole lot of entertainment. I think you're going to enjoy it. Now I'll start off with one of my own poems, and the inspiration for this poem was, well, I was hanging out at the local boot barn listening to all the cowboys talking while I was getting some hats steamed and pressed, and it was some pretty good eavesdropping going on there, so I came up with a pretty good poem, and it's titled Rider's Draw by Casey LaCourse. It starts with a random draw that seals his fate tonight. If he draws a head-down spinner, lean to the left or right. And you gotta counterbalance and get a grip that's tight. If the hurricane you're riding leaves the gate in a straight line and bucking back and forth is in that devil's mind, careful, or you will find you're eating dirt on all fours and the judge will call no time. It's about 8 seconds, 2 blinks, and it is gone. Remember, it's called bull riding, not bull hanging on. All right, folks, let's get to the showcase.
Let's see, Casey LaCourse wanted me to tell you a little bit about this song, how it came about, and what it's about. The name of the song is Jose Maria Treceras. And I learned about Jose Maria Treceras when I went to Canada, to Kamloops. And Mike Mahalo, he was running that show at that time. We lost him a few years back. And he gave me one of his books, and it was that poem was in there. And I said, "Where did you find this?" He said, "Oh, it's a true story. You live with the Nespers, you know, in 14 miles from the Nespers reservation. You don't know this story?" I said, "No." He said, "Actually, it's not in the history books." He said, "It's something that didn't make it into the history books." Tells the story of Jose Maria Treceras in Canada's miners starving up there for beef, for cattle, for food, and all those Californios in California struggling because they didn't make life very pleasant for them when Canada got sold to the United States around 1848. So here comes the story. My name is Jose Treceras, best bullwhacker in the Caribou Trail. My wife Josefina in San Pablo wait for me in my cabin in Yale. I'm a man your history has forgotten, but amigos, I have seen it all. When I took my home in Sonora, Worldly Mesquite, and Seguaro Grotal, and I walked to the San Joaquin Valley when I was a skinny young child to learn the ways of the vaqueros. We rode all the best horses they had. When Cloud came south to buy cattle for Douglas, the Hudson Bay boss, we took 1,000 wild cows from La Barranca home to that Columbia and across Venezuela, and I rode to the Snake River, land of the great Nesparce. We wintered our herds on the bunch grass, Tapadero, all the way. Now los indios son muy buenos en caballo. They do not know much about cows. The Scots are savvy about cattle, but as horsemen they were lacking somehow. So it was that we started to teach them what a riata and a spade bit were for. Besides, since the gringos had stolen California, I had no reason to ride south anymore. Now Venezuela He is a rancher. He'll chase cows most of his life. Me, I haul freight on this rocky gold trail to make my home for my pretty young wife. But when my Pablo is a little bit taller, I will take him out hunting for strays in the wildlands west of the Fraser. I will teach you the bucket ways, 'cause my name is Jose Treceras, this bullwhacker in the Caribbean trade. The story of Jose Maria Treceras and his son Pablo. And Mike Pajalo said that he had met Pablo before he passed away. A lot of great history there, a lot of great with the Treceras family. There's a thing on Ancestry about them, and they actually asked for the song, and I sent it to them and stuff, and there were some people interested in that song. The Smithsonian was, but they wanted us to change a couple of lines in that song, and I called Mike Pajalo and I said, hey, the Smithsonian is coming through here collecting songs like that, and they want it, but they want us to change the line that says, since the gringos stole California. And they said, Mike said, no, we're not changing that. I said, well, that sounds good to me too, so we'll leave it. And it's a great song. Thank you for listening, and thank you for asking about it.
Howdy, folks. It's calving time here on the N7, and I thought I'd do you a calving poem. It's called By Chance or Dugout Disaster. You get to choose. It was calving time. I was watching the cows. They were content just eating their hay. Some calvies were snuggled in for a nap, while other calvies wanted to play. I watched as a cow broke from the herd. I guess she wanted to be alone. I reckoned it wouldn't be very long before she had a wee calf of her own. Then I observed as she proceeded to deliver. She had chosen the worst possible spot. That's no place for a calf to be born, or at least that's what I thought, on top of the dirt pile surrounding the dugout. There's no way that calf could win. If he goes north, he's born in the swamp. If he goes south, he best know how to swim. Well, I hate to interfere, but I could not leave this to fate. I went over to make her move, but I arrived just a moment too late. That calf was born. He slid into the water, never even had a chance for his lungs to fill up with air. I knew if I didn't do something real quickly, that calf was going to drown in there. I took a moment to call for help. Thank God I had my cell phone. I know that dugout is deep in places. I best not try this alone. Then I dove into the frigid water, and I swam to where the calf had disappeared. That water was way colder than I was prepared for, but not near as deep as I feared. I reached around. I grabbed a hold. He was so slimy and wet. Now, Mama Cow's trying to kill me. She's decided that I am the threat. That calf was fighting hard and gasping for air. I was doing my best to hang on, but suddenly he broke free from my grasp. In an instant, he was gone. I was froze to the bone, totally done for. But right then, Larry and Landon arrived. If they had come just a moment later, that calf would have never survived. You know, it's by chance that I chose to linger and not just go on my way. And it's by chance that I was there to save that little calvie that day.
He lay face down in the desert sand, clutching a 6-gun in his hand. Shot from behind, I thought he was dead, for under his heart was an ounce of lead. But a spark still burned, so I used my knife Late that night, I saved the life of Ringo. Ringo, Ringo. I nursed him till the danger passed. The days went by, he mended fast. Then from dawn till setting sun, he practiced with that deadly gun. An hour I watched in awe, for no human hand could match the draw of Ringo. One day we rode the mountain crest. I went east, he went west. I took to law and wore a star, while he spread terror near and far. With lead and blood he gained such fame, all through the west they feared the name of Ringo. Ringo, Ringo. I knew someday I'd face the test, which one of us would be the best. Sure enough, the word came down that he was holed up in the town. I left the posse out in the street, and I went in alone to meet Ringo. Well, they said my speed was next to none, but my lightning draw had just begun. I heard a blast that stunned my wrist. The gun went flying from my fist, and I was looking down the bore of that deadly 44 of Ringo. Ringo, Ringo. They said that was the only time that anyone had seen him smile. He slowly lowered his gun and then said to me, "We're even, friend." So at last I understood that there was still a spark of good in Ringo. I blocked the path of his retreat. He turned, stepped out into the street. A dozen guns spit fire and lead. A moment later, he lay dead. The town began to shout and cheer. Nowhere was there shed a tear for Ringo. The story spread throughout the land that I had beaten Ringo's hand. It was just the years, they say, that made me put my guns away. But on the grave they can't explain the tarnished star above the name of Ringo. Ringo, Ringo, Ringo.
Good morning. Hopefully my neighbor won't start up his chainsaw again for a while. We can get this. My name's Bodie Dominguez. Everybody knows me by Bodie. And I've been playing here in the valley for since 1972. I used to play down at North Lewiston, a little bar by the sawmill called the Tin Brand. Sure had a lot of fun in there. From there, it just exploded. In 1999, I guess, I met a gentleman by the name of Charlie Camden, and he was involved with Cowboy gatherings and Western Music Association and Academy of Western Artists, which have now gone international, which is great. Some great entertainers, and his guitar player was quitting, so he said, "Would you like to be my guitar player and see if you like this cowboy stuff?" And I said, "Sure." And so we did a couple of small shows, and then he said, "How'd you like to go to Santa Clarita and entertain there?" I said, "I have no idea what Santa Clarita is or where it's at." It was great. It was great. Some people have waited 20 years to to get into Santa Clarita, into that, and I just happened to be in the right spot at the right place at the right time. Charlie asked me if I wrote any music. I said, oh yeah, I can do that. So I had a recording studio. We went into it, and that first year we had a top 10 CD on the Western Music Association and Academy of Western Artists, and we were top 10, and it was great. It was, I was just doing a listener appreciation show for a radio station when I met Charlie. I've always sang since I was 2-3 years old. I used to drive my mother crazy, and so music's just. I started playing guitar when I was 14.
To the questions. Let's see. I'm not much of a movie goer, but I remember Crocodile Dundee and his "This is a Knife." I like that one. And when did I decide that I could write poetry? Well, it was back in the early 80s. My Larry and I were doing quite a bit of farming back then. And we had a self-propelled combine that ran on gasoline. So we always had gas in the tidy tank. Then we bought a pull-type combine, which ran on diesel. Well, I mean, it was pulled by the tractor, which ran on diesel. So I came home from my full-time job. At combining time, of course, the truck was full. I jumped in, dumped it, came back, went to fill it up, filled the grain truck up with diesel. Yes, I was not real popular, you might say. Anyway, so I wrote this poem about my grain truck, which actually had nothing to do with filling it up with fuel. But anyway, it was a poem I wrote about my grain truck, and it was rather humorous, you might say. And yes, it kind of eased the tension just a tad. And then I went on and continued writing about a lot of things on the ranch. I didn't really realize that there was such a thing as cowboy poetry at the time. It's not real popular in my neck of the woods. And the first cowboy poetry gathering I ever went to was actually in Elko, Nevada in 2012. My Larry and I jumped on a plane and we went to Elko. So I saw a lot of poetry there and realized that, yes, this is in fact what I do. I write cowboy poetry. So that is how it came to be. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching Hearts of the West. Thank you to Casey for making it all happen. Good night.
I always say I learned to sing sitting on an Oliver 88 going round and round the field. My dad sang and my uncle sang. They all played, and music was in the family. Cowboy poetry I got into quite a bit later. Didn't realize I could do it. And one of the girls needed to help writing a poem, and I said, well, I'll help you. I'll write one for you, or write one and show you how it's done, and went, holy smokes, that's fairly good. Could I do it again? And I did, and I wrote another one, and another, and just kind of came natural to me. So that's how that happened, anyway.